The next step in this tutorial will be compositing our fire onto our original layer of a farm, okay? As we said, unfortunately there were no cows here to prove the fact that this was actually their farm, you know? Maybe they could have taught us a thing or two about burning, or rather setting a farm on fire. So we are going to select our layer, which is nature 0043. We bring it down below our main fire layer, and then let's quickly rename this composition to something that we can refer easily to. So we're going to select our composition, our fire composition, go to composition, composition settings, rename it to fire finale. So we know this is the final composition we are working from. And then once we've done that, we also need to bring up our base fire, which will be the fire happening on the surface affecting the grass. So we will select our nature layer and then press Ctrl Alt F on the keyboard. This automatically fits it into our composition. Next, we'll select our main fire. Let's hide, or rather turn off our base fire for now. So select our main fire, press S to bring up its scale, and let's scale it down to a more or less realistic size. Okay, I think that should do. And then we are going to turn on our base fire layer, select it, and then turn on the 3D layer switch, or we can always go to layer and then tick on 3D layer to make it a 3D layer. And then with the base layer selected, we are going to press R on the keyboard to bring about its rotation, and then we are going to rotate it to a particular degree. Let's say 107 degrees, and then let's bring it down. Okay, let's bear in mind that this is the process of compositing, so it should look like it was shot with the rest of the footage. So we'll move it around the axis there, and then we still select the base file and then press Shift S to bring up scaling information, and let's scale it down to a more or less believable size. Okay, we might even want to bring it down further. And then what's very important is during the compositing process, we need to make it look like it was shot with the rest of the footage. So we're going to click on this button here which says expand or collapse the transfer controls plane, and then we're going to click it once more, or we can go to layer, blending mode, color dodge. So this makes it appear as if it's busy burning above our grass. Next, we are going to select our base layer and then go to edit, duplicate, or pressing Ctrl D on the keyboard, and then we'll change its transfer mode to multiply to make it appear really as some sort of a fiery surface, and then we'll change its scale maybe to something smaller to make it look like it's burning from the inside. Okay, let's quickly change the scaling of this one also, just reducing it a bit to look like it was shot in the original composition. Okay, but then again, we don't want it to look fakey, so we still want to keep certain settings as low as possible. Next, we are going to add our ripple that we created earlier, and guess what? This simple solid will in fact act as our ripple. Okay, so we're just going to change one more thing here. We will select our yellow solid one and then press scale, and I hope we get the result we are looking for. Yeah, we are going to try to squash it down so that the edges won't give us a problem later during the compositing. Okay, we'll go back to our finale composition and then bring down the ripple. Okay, and then now if we look, we have a slight problem here because the inner area of our solid here is too dark. So we want it to be an empty thing, like so that we can composite it easily. So we will select our ripple and then delete it for now. And then, sorry about this one, we're going to change the transfer mode back to normal. Actually, we're going to change the main fire transfer mode to add. So I believe you've seen the results that it has given us. It sort of composites very well with the background. It looks like it was burning even above its sky. If it was normal, we can see it really doesn't affect much of the composition. Okay, so we'll go back to our main, our ripple effect layer, and then we will twirl down on the black solid, select the mask 1, click edit, copy, select black solid 1 and then delete on the keyboard, and then select the yellow solid and then say edit paste. Okay, so we are going to press M on the keyboard, select mask 2. I hope this works. Okay, didn't really work to advantage. So what we need to do next is create another mask of the same shape rather as the one we have here. So we select our elliptical mask tool and then press Shift and drag on the screen to give us a perfect shape. And then we are going to change the mask 2's settings to subtract. So already that gives us an emptiness inside of the original yellow solid. With the mask 2 selected, we are going to move it properly to align it with our other mask. So now this gives us a perfectly if we turn on the transparency setting, we can see it's a perfect empty area in the center. Okay, we'll go back to our fire finale comp, and then hopefully this works this time. We're going to drag our ripple to our composition. Okay, we're getting the results that we're looking for. Then we are going to turn on its 3D layer switch, press R to bring about its rotation, and S, or rather S and Shift R to bring about the rotation and the scaling information. We are going to scale it down. Let's change the rotation for the x-axis, yeah, to something like that. And then we are going to move it downwards. Okay, let's scale it down even further. And we can even pull it from the side so that it looks like an elliptical ripping which will take place. What we need to do next is help our ripple to composite proper with our composition. To do that, we are going to go back to our ripple composition, and then we're going to press MM on the keyboard to bring about its settings, and then we are going to increase its feather information so that we sort of get proper compositing in our final composition. So we can already see the effects that we're going to be ending up with. So we go back again to the ripple, and then we might want to change the expansion by reducing it. Let's see how it affects. Yeah, it's getting almost what we are looking for. Okay, and then we are going to change the ripple's transfer mode to classic color dodge. Okay, now we can even see it busy eating up the grass as the fire is burning. We'll select once more we'll go back once more to our original yellow solid, and we might want to change the expansions, maybe to bring it down to -16. Yeah, now we are getting just perfectly what we're looking for. In fact, this is going way better than when I was actually recording the tutorial. Yeah, this is really going well. Maybe we can leave it at 20. Now we need to time our explosion so that everything happens accordingly, because for some reason Mother Nature is so good at this that it knows how to time when an explosion happens and what elements actually bring it up. So we are going to go to our very beginning of our composition. We are now going to create keyframes to change the way in which our explosion will take place. So with the ripple selected, we are going to turn on its scale, and then we are going to press Shift T to bring up its opacity. Or let's do this. We're going to press T once more, and then Shift S to bring about its opacity and scaling information. So we are going to click on the two stopwatches for the opacity and scale and move them to maybe somewhere where the explosion is more or less happening the most. And then in here, we are going to change the scaling and the opacity to almost something invisible. Okay, And then let's see, as the fire happens, that's when we want our opacity. We are going to move our opacity keyframe that we created earlier back in. Okay. We might want to create a keyframe, another keyframe for our scaling. Let's just move it so that it's exactly at the middle of our explosion. And then as the fire happens, we can see it grows bigger. And then maybe let's delete this particular keyframe. So as explosion happens here, we are going to scale it that big. The opacity becomes 100. And then somewhere here, just after the fire has happened, we are going to scale it even further. To controllable proportions like that. And then we are going to decrease its opacity to 0. Okay. So our fire will start. Okay, let's have a quick preview now. When we do a quick preview, this is what we have. So the fire actually starts from the core, and then we get our nice ripple affecting even the grass, and the ripple finally disappearing. Okay. Now we are going to select our ripple layer and then add some sort of a blurriness to its motion so that we don't really see much of it coming too smoothly, because anything that's shaky will be blurry to the eye. So we select our ripple layer and then go to Effects, Blur and Sharpen, Radial Blur. We are going to change the type to Zoom, and then we'll increase the amount to 20. So this should give it some sort of blurriness around its edges. Next, unless you have a Superman who is so powerful that even as there is an explosion in front of him, he does not shake or move, or his body is not even affected by the pulse that is taking place, your camera is going to move or shake in many different directions. So that's why we are going to add the camera shake effect that we spoke of earlier, because it's such an effective effect. We've even used it rather in our Earth, or rather in our Cloud Zoom tutorial, and it's so powerful. So we are going to select our Fire Finale layer and then drag it to a new comp, and then press P to bring about its position. Now, what do we need to bring about shakiness or jitteriness in the footage? We are going to be using what is called a slider control. To access that, we go to Effect, Expression Controls, Slider Control, and then we'll rename this one to Shake Pause. Okay, this particular control will be responsible for shaking the position of our layer here, and then we'll need to add another one to change, or rather to shake the rotation of our footage, because an explosion shakes a footage in all possible directions, be it in the position or rotational axis. So we're going to add Effects, Expression Controls, Slider Control. We're going to name this one Shake Pause. Okay, rather Shake Rots. So this will shake our footage's rotation. Okay, let's go back to our final comp once more. Sorry about that. Next, we're going to add expressions to the position of our layer here. First, we're going to select our layer and then press Shift R to bring about its rotation information. By the way, if you can't access any of these settings, you select a layer, you press P to bring about the position, and then you press Shift R to bring about the rotation. Okay. Then we are going to alt-click on the position, and then enter the expression that will control the rotation of or rather the jitteriness or the shakiness of the position. So once we've clicked on alt-clicked on the stopwatch, we are going to be entering the P shake, which stands for particle shake. You can name it anything basically, and then you enter, and then you drag our peak width to our slider controls shake. Okay, and then press a semicolon at the end, and then press enter, and then we are going to add wiggle which should control or rather give it some randomness in motion. We're going to add the 5.5 comma p shake, close the bracket, and then another semicolon. So what we should have now, okay, we know right now it's doing almost nothing. That's because the slider's value has not been increased. If we increase the slider to maybe 33, what we'll end up with is a pretty shaky footage already, as you can see. Okay, we need to do the same for the rotation. So we are going to alt click on the rotation and then enter R shake, which is our preferred name to tell it to rotate, or rather to affect the rotation of our layer, and then press enter, and then select the peak width and drag to the sliders. Sorry, just after the equal sign, select the peak width and drag. Sorry, we are going to alt click on our rotation and then enter there in the rotation or in the expression window, R shake is equal to, and then drag the peak width towards the slider of the shake rot effect, and then press enter the semicolon, and then press enter, and then enter wiggle 0.25 R shake. So basically this tells it to wiggle the values of the rotation 0.5 times according to the values gotten from the slider effect. Once more, if we slide through, no rotation is affected. But if we increase the shake rotations values, now we end up with a footage which rotates and shakes in every direction. The main reason why we are making use of slider control so that we can control when and how the shakiness happens, because if we are just to apply these expressions in the timeline without this effect, our shakiness will only appear from a particular layer in time and keep on applying itself throughout. We do not want that. We want control over how and when our explosion takes place. So we are going to select our layer once more, and then we are going to turn the slider values back to 0. Make sure at the beginning of the timeline, and then let's select our layer and then press E to bring about its effects, and then twirl down the shake pause value, and then click on the stopwatch for the slider. Make sure you click on expand or collapse button, and then let's also bring down the shake pause value, and then create a keyframe of 0. Okay, and then we are going to move forward in the timeline somewhere there. We're going to change the shake pauses value to 90 and our rotation slider value to 30. Okay, so if we move from here to here, we can already see the rotation we are having, and then we can move these to earlier times in the timeline. Actually, we're going to move them very close to each other at the beginning, because an explosion is always very sudden. No warnings, it just happens. And then we're going to move just before 2 seconds, and then change the sliders control to 50. Sorry. We're going to select the shake poses slider and change it to 50, and then our shake rots value to 19. Then we're going to move forward in time just around 4 seconds. We'll change the shake poses value to 15, and then the rotation to 5. So it's getting, basically we are going from very shaky to more or less stable footage. And then we are going to change the duration of our of the layer, in other words the time that we'll be rendering. So we're going to squash down our time there, and then just outside of the time that we've already set for our explosion to happen, we are going to change the values of the slider from 15 maybe to 9, and then this particular value maybe to 3. Okay, so let's get a preview of what we have. So when we preview this right now, this is what we have so far. Whoa, it's pretty shaky. I feel sorry for the cameraman who was holding his poor camera there, trying to record this moment in time. Okay. Now I know you're wondering, but Henry, aren't the edges black? What is happening to the rest of the video? Hey, people can see that we actually just playing around with the rotations. Well, don't worry. After Effects has a magical way of filling in the gaps for us. What we do is we select the layer and then we go to Effect, Stylize, Motion Tile. What Motion Tile does is fill in the gaps where we really need it the most. We're going to change the output width to 185, output height to 185, but still we can see it's not doing a proper job yet. That's because we need to tick the mirror edge option, and as you can see, just like that, we have filled in the gap. Okay. Now, a very important thing to add is motion blur. You do not get an explosion without motion blur. What we need to do is turn on the motion blur switch on the layer and then turn it also for the main composition. When we turn those on, if we browse through this timeline, we can see the blurriness appearing, and it's such a properly calculated blurriness that After Effects really knows when to increase it and to what values or percentage to increase it. So right now we can see After Effects automatically gives us a blurry footage because of the shakiness happening. Now, one last thing we might need to do is change, or rather color correcting our farm here. So we'll do a favor to our poor farmer who decided to rent us his farm for the shooting of this particular explosion. So we're going to go to the fire finale composition, select the nature layer and then go to Effect, Color Correction, Curves, and then we'll just bring it down so that it looks like it was shot in an afternoon, you know. And then what's next is we need to take focus out of the farm and into the fire. What I mean by that is the fact that our main focus here is on the fire, which is going to be burning. So once more we will select our farm layer and then go to Effect, Blur and Sharpen, Gaussian Blur. So Gaussian Blur will give us the feeling that we are mainly focusing on the fire and not on the farm below it. So once we've done that, we can go back now to our Fire Finale 2 composition, and now the scene is set for a dark, somber explosion. The other exciting feature I want to mention is firstly, very thanks to my very good friend Ziana Rafuza, who suggested that I need to keep you guys updated with all the latest tutorials without giving you guys all the hassle of having to check it manually and so forth. So what you do when you go to your great website, www.henrythejedi.com, there is a section there which says subscribe to our news group today and start receiving all the latest news about new tutorials, great products and more directly to your email. Simply enter the email address and click on the subscribe button. So please guys, if you really want to be up to date with all the latest that I have to offer you guys, be it free great tutorials or great products or simply news I want to announce to you guys, you simply go to www.henrythejedi.com, and each of the pages has a section where it says Google Groups, and then you simply enter your email address there and then you enter subscribe. Now that's the part where I can get to communicate with you guys on all the latest news that I want to inform to you guys, because communication is the most important thing that you can maintain. Okay, and then it may happen that sometimes the email you might be receiving from me might be ending in your spam folder on your mailboxes. So what you simply do is tell your mail browsers that it's not a spam mail, so that we can begin to receive the emails from our Google Groups properly. Okay, and then in here also you can still under the Google Groups, you can also share your ideas, comments. You know, you can share your thoughts also with artists, great artists like you from all over the world. And then the other exciting feature is also the blog, which has been moved. Okay, because my very good friend Nandi Collins from Nigeria told me that he had a hard time writing comments on the blog. So guys, I've moved the blog now. So now the blog is placed at somewhere called henrythejedi.wordpress.com. You can also access the link of the blog on the site henrythejedi.com, and then there Once you get here, this is where you guys also have your say, because I really want to hear words from you guys. I can't just be doing this on my own. Come on, guys. I want to hear your voices. So, in here, to post your comments, let's say this is the tutorial. This title goes like, post your tutorials request and have your say in the month of September. If you want to post your request or your comments or ask me a question, you simply click on this link here, okay, the link in bold, and then this should land you to the section where you can post your comment. And then as you can see, that's where you leave your comment, okay, for this particular post. And then here you'll simply enter your name. Let's say your name was Henry, and then you enter your email address there. .com, and then you enter your website there if you have a website, okay. So and then in here, in this huge space here, you enter any comments that you want, okay. You might say, I am happy with everything, maybe. And then once you are done entering your comment, you simply click on the submit comment button. This should send you to the page where, or rather, this should add your comment to the posts for that particular month. So next time you come to the blog, you're simply gonna see your comments under the comment section at the blog, okay? So there you have it, a very realistic explosion done in After Effects with no third-party application, thanks to the magic of the industry standard in motion graphics. Enjoy the explosion, huh? I just pray that you bought insurance on your monitors, because I heard this fire might have burned some other people's monitors. So I hope you bought insurance on your monitors. Okay, until next time.